All right. Is Delegate Leslie Lopez here?
I don't see her, Madam Chair.
Okay. Because we have a very short work session today, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being on time. I also want to take a moment to welcome our guests from the county. We have two bills before us. And by the way, let me just properly start. I'm Delegate Lily Chi, Chair of the Montgomery County House Delegation's Economic Development Committee. And welcome to our second work session for 2024. Today, we're going to take up two bills, MC 2024 and PGMC 11224. Because we have a very short work session, our floor session starts today at 9:30 a.m. So we will probably have around 20 minutes to discuss both bills. So let's try to be efficient. The first one is not going to take much time. MC 2024, since the hearing and since our last work session, I have had more conversations with the bill sponsor, Delegate Leslie Lopez, who has had several conversations with the State Highway Administration. As you recall, the bill would require SHA to provide comments to Montgomery County's development projects within 30 days. It was a unanimous recommendation by the work group that she chaired related to streamlining development and permitting approval process. However, some serious concerns were raised by members of this committee whether we can ask a state agency to treat counties differently. In other words, accelerate the review process for Montgomery County projects versus all the other counties' projects, and thought this might be it should be a statewide bill. And the bill sponsor is not opposed to that. So, excuse me. She's actually having her state bill drafted at the moment, okay? And once she gets that back, she will withdraw the local bill. So at the moment, this bill has not been withdrawn. But I think we don't have to act on that given this dynamic. So to the council and to our delegation staffer, Rolf, do I need to make a motion to special order it? Or we'll just table?
Tabling should be just fine.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so that's that. Now to PGMC 11224. So PGMC 11224 is to establish and fund the Office of the People's Council on Land Use within the MNC PPC structure. So since our hearing and in the past couple of days and weeks, I have had members of this committee and myself have had multiple conversations with the stakeholders, including the bill sponsor. I appreciate all parties' sincere desire to work things out. Let me do a quick check to see if the bill sponsor, Senator Ben Cramer, has joined us. I'm not seeing him. Do you guys? Okay, no, all right. Has Council President Andrew, oh yeah, I see Council President Andrew Friesen, because I may call upon you guys to make some comments or answer our members' questions. Okay, and I do see the chair of MNC PPC, Mr. Artie Harris here. If you don't mind turning on your camera, because we are likely to call on you as well, and the Planning Department Chair, Jason Sartori. Thank you for joining us, guests. So since the bill hearing, the committee has received a letter from the county's Intergovernmental Relations Office, which essentially acts as the county's lobby for both the county council and the county executive for both branches of the government. And on this particular bill, the county's position is split, with the county executive supporting it and the county council opposing it. This is a rare occasion when they have very polar opposite positions on one particular bill. I had a conversation both with the council president and the vice president just to understand what their serious concerns are, why they chose not to fund this position. Frankly, I think members of this committee issue, which Maryland is a very strong local control state, by the way. Most of us feel, this on the surface of it, the concept of having a public place where individuals can go to understand land use issues is not a bad idea, right? So my understanding from the conversations with council members is they have serious concerns about how this role would play out and who actually benefits from it historically or going forward. And especially given the context of this racial equity and social justice study that the council conducted, they would like to reevaluate before they fund it and to define the scope and the functions of this role, which is a concern shared by some members of this committee. For example, the three functions articulated in the code would be to represent the public interest, to ensure fairness to underrepresented populations, and to keep a complete record, right? With that, I have to mention before I conclude my remarks is we also received a letter from the council president just yesterday stating clearly the council's opposition to this bill, and I hope all members have received that. Okay, so I see Delegate Kaiser having her hand up, so I'm going to turn to Delegate Kaiser before I turn to other members of this committee. Delegate Kaiser.
Madam Chair, thank you so much, and thank you for that full summary with all the breadth of things, and thank you for all the reaching out you did with all the people, and you really captured what we've all been thinking. I do have two questions for Council President Friedson, two distinct questions. I'd like to, the first question is, I saw the letter and I appreciate the concerns and certainly the executive taking away something that is legislative. But the council has had many years of opportunity to create this People's Council. And it seems like this social equity reason given seems kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure the right word for it, but it seems like that doesn't really explain the delay. And while there may be legitimate social equity concerns, I don't understand how that has made things take so many years. Like everyone else, I want this position. I just don't think we should all be in the job of creating it. So I'd like to understand that social equity point, and has there actually been any work or study being done on all this? I guess I'd like to ask the questions distinctly. So I'd like to understand what, if any, efforts have been made on the council's part to analyze this social equity piece.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your thoughtful deliberations and your comments, and appreciate the opportunity to be here. Yes, the answer is yes, we have looked into it. Yes, we have tried to work with the executive branch, have suggested that we work together on it. This came, while this has not been funded for over a decade, that spans previous administrations, previous councils, it's really the last 2 years where this has been a public discussion that has been on everybody's radar. This was included in the budget without consultation with the council, that kind of showed up abruptly in the budget 2 years ago, two budgets ago. The thought then was there was these concerns that were raised in the Office of Legislative Oversight report that were never addressed, and the request was made for the executive to respond to some of those questions of how this would work, and whether there were recommendations for any changes. That didn't happen, and then it was funded again last year. I'll note those were two tough budget years. Last year we had a 10% property tax increase that was proposed. We had to look for over $100 million in cuts to look for that. So there were budgetary dynamics there, as well as the qualitative evaluative question.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, please.
I appreciate appreciate everything you've said. Nothing yet has addressed my question.
Yeah.
My question, with all due respect, is what has the council done to try to work through the social equity? Not pass it back to the executive. The legislature does all the work. We all know that. So what has the council done?
Yeah, so I was just trying to give,
out?
sorry to interrupt. I was just trying to give the background. The next piece of it was I wanted to avoid this battle. And so I proposed, and it's still before the council, a compromise that would have addressed the concerns of advocacy and this question of what is the public interest. For instance, housing. Is housing in the public interest, or is that against the public interest based on it being a development project that changes the nature of a neighborhood, for instance? And that was what we heard in the public hearing. These are very challenging, subjective questions at times. So I proposed a bill that would have changed the functions, that would have moved this more towards providing assistance, providing support, providing information to residents to try to level the playing field for those who don't understand the Byzantine and very complicated nature of land use and zoning without being an advocate. Because the question of being an advocate is subjective, and there are equity concerns with who benefits and who doesn't, and what is being supported and what is being opposed in those instances. That received quite a bit of opposition from some of the advocates, as well as the county executive. And so we have not moved forward on that up to this point. But that is what we've moved forward. I continue to be very much open to coming up with a way that we move forward with a position that addresses the concerns in a way that also addresses the equity questions. I do believe that the land use and zoning process is extremely complicated. I do share your commitment and ours to try to have as inclusive a process as possible, to make it as easy for residents as possible to be able to weigh in on issues that have significant impacts on their communities, on their families. My view is, the compromise that I put forward, I thought was the best way to do that. Obviously, that's why I put it forward, but I continue to be very much open to other options as well. I think the challenge in this bill, besides the issues that have been raised on the state coming in and moving authority from the legislative to the executive, requiring funding and taking away budget authority and infringing on land use roles, it would create two positions. There would still be an unfunded position in Section 2150 of the county code, which is part of what needs to be addressed here. So our view is we hear you loud and clear. If there was a formal way for you to share that, I agree. I will reiterate that to colleagues as well, that there is definitely an interest on your part. We all share the same constituents, and we all share the same interest in serving them as well as we can. I continue to be committed to find a way for us to move forward, but I do think it's important that in the way that we move forward, we address the equity concerns and we ensure that we have a role and a position that is fulfilling our commitments to land use and zoning, which has unfortunately throughout many decades been used to harm communities and to pick winners and losers, to lift up the community in as equitable a way and as inclusive a way as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Council
Madam
President.
Chair, I don't have any more questions because I know my colleagues do, and that was a very long answer. So I'll pass on my second question. Thank you.
Very thorough. Okay, thank you. Do other members have comments or questions and thoughts on this while we have all these stakeholders gathered here? Delegate Wallach and then Delegate Solomon.
Madam Chair, and thank you, Council President Friedson. Being a newbie to the group, I have a question on this matter of sharing our thoughts with the county council and county executive as a group, as a delegation. Is that something that we have done in the past to convey, our priorities as a group, as a delegation? Has that been done? To me, it feels as though if we haven't shared what our perspective is as a group, to then mandate a position feels like a leap. So please just help me understand historically being a newbie here.
I think the answer is yes, is to convey the committee's sentiment. Is that what you're saying? Of whatever?
I'm asking if in the past, the Montgomery County delegation has shared our position with the county council or county executive in a formal manner. Being a new person to the group, it feels as though if we haven't done that, to then make the jump to require position feels like a leap. So I'm just wondering if we've shared our position as a group formally before.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, and I'm drawing a blank on exactly which instance, but I deferred to the council, our committee council and the staff to answer the question. Harry or Ralph, can you jump in?
I'm sorry, as far as having shared thoughts with the council in the past, I'm afraid that's not something I have an answer for. I've only been, staffing this since the beginning of the month.
But the answer is yes, we can do it if there is some thoughts or positions that we have as a committee, if we agree on that position, of course.
Madam Chair, if I may, I believe we
Yes.
did that on other issues around MMPPC, maybe about a year or two ago.
Okay, was that
think
out of
when
the
we-
Metro Washington Committee's work? That,
I believe so. I think it was
Okay.
related to the work group actually that
I see.
Delegate Lopez was a part of.
okay,
That's
Thank
my
you.
understanding as well.
all right, thank you for clarifying. And Delegate Solomon, on that note, please go ahead and make your questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually want to be associated with the comments of my colleague Delegate Wolek, I think. And excuse me, I just got up to my office, ran a couple of minutes behind this morning with the kids. Yeah, I was just going to share, a thank you to many of the community members and council members who have reached out. I think this is a very longstanding, somewhat complicated topic that clearly has been, longstanding issue, I think, between the council and the county executive and many members of the community. And so I have, just in the past week or two, gotten emails on both sides of this issue. And I think, given the breadth and history of it, that it might be a little bit easier for us to, work with county government, both the executive and the council, to try to reach a compromise and give them an opportunity to really work through it. So again, I would maybe suggest a letter or a joint statement from our delegation to the county to try to work out. Again, I think we all share the same goals here of making this process a little bit easier to understand for communities that may not have participated in it, while also ensuring that projects that are critically important to our county, particularly additional housing projects, are given their due to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. I see bill sponsor, so you are, okay, before I want to just make a quick acknowledgement of the two bill sponsors who have joined us since the start of this meeting. Senator Ben Cramer is here and Delegate Leslie Lopez is here. For your reference, Delegate Lopez, I did quickly give the committee members an update on your bill. So we are going to table it for now and wait for you to play out the process, okay? I heard the bell ringing, but since we have the bill sponsor, Senator Ben Cramer here, I will offer the courtesy of having him make some comments as well. Senator Cramer. Can you speak? Senator Cramer? All right. I guess not. Do other members have any thoughts or reactions to Delegate Solomon's suggestion that maybe we can offer a letter back to the county to express our desire that we will work with them to hopefully facilitate communication, work things out?
Madam Chair,
Oh, okay. Hi, Senator. Do have
thank you.
any-
My apologies. I'm
If you could
on
keep
my
your
way.
remarks short, since we need to go to the floor at 9:30, but please go ahead.
remarks will be very short.
Thank you.
One, the Attorney General has, and everybody has seen the letter, indicated we are the appropriate segment of government to be doing what the bill proposes. Secondly, I find it disingenuous to hear, anyone from the council saying that they're trying to accomplish this. The fact of the matter is that council has refused through 2 county executives now to honor what was put in to county code. That's why we are here having this conversation. The fact of the matter is, in the work group that took place over the summer, there was considerable support from the community people to have the People's Council put in place. It was a 2-to-1 vote, 10 in favor, 5 against, 2 abstained. 2-to-1, the support was for the People's Council. The only opposition was Park and Planning, the county council representatives, and I believe a developer representative. The residents were fully in support. And the purpose of the bill is nothing more to ensure that, as was the creation of the bill at the county level, that those who don't have the ability to pay have a voice. And I stand by that, Madam Chair. It would be irresponsible for us to not move forward with the bill. We cannot punt it to the council with a letter and say, please do something. They have refused. Now it's our responsibility to ensure that the communities that are often most impacted and have no opportunity for their voices to be heard to participate in the process. And so I am hoping that this body does just that. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have to conclude our work session now, unfortunately, and rush to the floor, but I want to thank everyone for your participation. And I move that we special order to the next work session to conclude and maybe take a vote on whether we want to send a letter to the council or not. I don't want to rush this process. It's a very important piece of legislation. Thank you very much, everyone. Do I need to do a motion officially, staff or council?
If you just want to table it for next meeting, you can just go
Yeah.
ahead and do it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. See you on the